everyone. It's time to eat, drink, and be merry with your hosts, Lisa and Nancy.
Welcome, everybody. Nancy and I are excited about today's episode because we've got the Diva back on the show. But actually, Nancy, I think we're going to call ourselves the A-Team today because each of us are in a city that, or an area beginning with an A. Diva Linda's in Arizona. We have Diva Linda, the food, wine, and shopping diva. And she's got a special guest she's bringing on the show, Nandita Godbole. Nandita is in Atlanta, Georgia, so we got the second A. And we're recording from Austin, Texas. So there's our third A. So we're the A-Team of ladies here. And Nandita has written and just released her book. It's beautiful. It is called 7 Pots of Tea, an Ayurvedic Approach to Sips Nosh. And it is absolutely beautiful. It's all about mindfulness, too, and the history of tea and just these healing, delicious recipes. It's beautiful. Diva Linda, we call her the food, wine, and shopping diva because she really does know what is good in life. She knows quality, and you can keep up with her at allingoodtaste.info. She's got a beautiful article about 7 Pots of Tea. And you'll see that in the spring-summer issue of the Blend Radio and TV magazine, and you can see it now on blendradioandtv.com. It's got a recipe in there, too. But Diva Linda, you are good at picking out good books. You know quality, lady.
I'm very lucky to be part of a group that reviews a certain books, cookbook sorts of things, foodie sorts of books once a month. And so I probably do this 12 times a year at least, and with this particular group, and certain books just speak to me, and 7 Pots of Tea was one of those. So I don't bring on everybody over the 12-month period onto the show, but this one, 7 Pots of Tea, specifically spoke to me, and I'll tell you why. I must have 50 teapots here. I used to have a home that had a tea room in it. It was fabulous. And I cannot tell you how many books on tea I have. So my thought when I was going to read, when I got the notification that we were doing 7 Pots of Tea, and I thought, oh, okay, well then it's going to show us how to have tea, and perhaps in an Indian manner, and then have some interesting recipes. But this book far exceeded my expectations. It really, there's certain stages of life, and certainly this one where we are at home more and can be more reflective. When I'm traveling so much, I'm not as reflective. I'm, getting here, going there, doing this, doing that. So this book, I think, should be an interesting conversation because each of us, Nandita, yourself, Nancy, and myself, bring a different perspective to what this book is talking about. So it's not a book about how to make cucumber sandwiches and cranberry tea. This goes far beyond that. It's a wonderful read, and I know as we go along today and are discussing this that this should be a very special conversation, and it is. So just know that it's not going to be just about cucumber sandwiches and tarts, which I love.
Cucumbers,
which I love,
are good.
Yeah, I could have an English tea every day and think that's quite wonderful. But this book is far beyond that, and I'm delighted to have Nandita on the show today. And I know that you, Nancy, and Lisa have lived actually this approach to sipping and noshing, and the dasha. I love the dasha part of it. I hope we get into that. And you and I are pitas, and that's probably why we get along so well. But,
are you a pita?
Anyway,
you're a pita too? We can't say pita because that stands for something else. But I suppose I am. Nancy calls me a pita all the time, but it's a pitta, right?
Just think about it.
Is that, how do you pronounce it? A pitta? That sounds better. Pitta. I like that. Pitta. All right.
Pitta. Yeah,
well,
pitta.
Anyway, and my suggestion is sort of what Nandita says in her book. The first part of the book is find a website, Google Dasha, and find out what you are. It's really simple. It only takes about 10 minutes, and then the book is much more meaningful. Then the words then you understand what she's trying to say, and you can look and see which parts of the book have more meaning for you. And as I look at it, I see my husband in something else and my sister in something else. So very interesting, and look forward to producing a tea that meets everybody's dosha expectations, requirements, or whatever.
It's exciting because it really goes with your body and your emotions and everything. But Nandita, number one, welcome to the show, and I want to give your website out for everybody because obviously you can get the book on Amazon, all those great places. But if you go to her website, she's got hand-painted teapots on there. Like, they're beautiful.
They're gorgeous.
CurryCravingsKitchen.com is the website to go to. And also look her up on YouTube because she shows you how to make the teas as well. So welcome, Nandita. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me, and thank you, Linda, for your kind words. I am I'm beyond thrilled that you like the book, because I know that you're very discerning in the kinds of things you choose to read or cover or talk about. So I'm glad that I am in that select company of things that you enjoy. And I am just excited to talk about the book because, like you said, it's not just about the cucumber sandwiches, or as much as I thought I wanted to include that. I'm seeing that that's what people really think tea time is about. But when you look at it differently, it does change your perspective, and then tea is never the same again. And I'm hoping that people can appreciate the drinks that are in the book, and the idea of paying attention to your body more in this time. So I'm looking forward to our chat.
Absolutely. Nandita, I do want to touch on Ayurveda in general for those who may not be familiar with it. It transformed my life when I got into being, Ayurvedic and taking some of those principles into my life personally. And reading your book, I'm like, I need to get back into it because you become so healthy, just even in the mornings doing like, if you, I would do like oil massages in the mornings, and at least your feet and your hands. And my skin was better. I stopped smoking because I was able to through Ayurveda and drinking peppermint tea, just so you know. And that, I can't even tell you how many years ago that was. It was like half my age.
Careful.
I know.
That's amazing, though.
I was young.
That's amazing.
Now I'm like in that middle age zone, and I think that it is so about mindfulness. And tea, we think about tea time, and it is about stop and reflect. And it's like having a glass of wine, but what are you putting in your body? And so the Ayurveda side, and Linda was talking about the doshas. If you could give people kind of that overview about how Ayurveda incorporates like nature, your emotion, it's part of digestion, right? I mean, there's right foods and wrong foods according to each person.
Yeah, Ayurveda is so much. It's similar to the idea of the humors of the body, and it takes into account different environmental elements along with what your own body is doing. So we are made up of the elements of earth. We're made up of elements of water, fire, ether, air. All of those, and those in varying combinations makes up what we call as dosha. And understanding where we are on the spectrum will give us an understanding of our dosha, which is where you need to kind of look at a couple different sites. I wouldn't just say just find one site. I would recommend doing maybe 3 or 4 different online quizzes, and those are not. Every quiz covers one aspect, and some of them are more detailed, some of them are less detailed. And you will understand, get a general idea of what your own dosha is. And that, once you start paying attention to that, it just changes how you think about every piece of what you're eating and seeing whether it's going to affect you in a good way or may hinder something in how you are or your health is. And that is the beginning. Just getting to that point is the beginning. And once you cross that hurdle of knowing your dosha, you're actually paying attention to yourself more. So you're already on the good path.
I love that. And with the tea, you're looking at, there's different kinds of teas, and I remember going, like, even in a diet, choosing the right ingredients, and even like I remember reading and eating this way. It changed how I ate cantaloupe because of the way my digestive system is. It was like, here, put a little bit of pepper or cardamom on it, and it helps break down the cantaloupe, and it tastes really good. By the way, now I'm like, that's the only way I eat melon is by putting black pepper on it and everything. But
it was like that for the longest time for my mom. I wouldn't understand why she would add pepper to her watermelon, and I thought she was crazy. And I was like, well, why are you making this wonderful fruit just kind of put pepper on it? And it took me to be middle-aged to realize that and to be looking into Ayurveda more, for me to realize that was how her body processed the food, and the pepper was actually helping break the everything down differently. And it's just that little bit of shift, and it's not a huge change. You're not cooking it differently or whatever. You're just adding little things to that to help your own body, your own digestion, so that the absorption is better, it processes better, you actually benefit from what you're eating, which, a lot of places, like, you will find recipes for herbal drinks or herbal teas, and they, many places don't tell you how to use specific spices or specific herbs for your preparation. And what might work for you will not work for me, or may not work for me. So I'm a Vata person. So not everything agrees with me in the same way. So literally, we were talking about this. If I recall correctly, one of you was one dosha. It was different from mine, and immediately my mind went to, we can't really enjoy the same things because we may enjoy it now, but we might not appreciate it later, where it doesn't fit well with us. So
that's funny.
I'm encouraging people to just kind of look at different ingredients and see how we can eat seasonally and eat something that's more customized to what works for us.
And I think this becomes more and more important as you get older. And I will say it specifically becomes more important when you have more time on your hands. So, you begin to think, well, I ate this and that didn't really work well for me. I wonder why that was, or why why do we go to somebody's house and the food is so bland? You're going, I got, what kind of spices do you have? I mean, really, and you go to somebody else's house, but it works for them and they're happy and so forth. And then you go to somebody else's house and or a party or whatever. Yeah, you're going. I don't know how you digest that. That's just pretty damn hot. So and I thought even about this yesterday. It was my 49th anniversary, and generally my husband and I celebrate by going out to Mexican food. We just love that. And in Arizona,
congratulations, by the way.
Yeah, congratulations.
Generally, we're used to Southern California Mexican style cuisine, but in Arizona, you have many more styles to choose from. And so we went to one yesterday that was highly recommended, and the bottom line was, they couldn't get the food hot enough, and I mean in temperature for me. The chef finally came out and said, I have tried 2 times to get this as hot as you want, but this is here's the temperature guide, a little temperature probe, and it's right on. I don't know. And I thought, oh my God, my palate is gone. Oh, I really. Then I was embarrassed. He said, the only way we can make this warmer for you is to put it in the microwave.
No.
So I'm looking around at everybody else, and they're not sending their food back. It's only me and my husband who are going, what? This is cold or this is warm.
She's a diva.
Yeah, well, but then
diva diner.
Think about what are the things that make my body happy, and it's certainly not cooler food. So there you go.
Yeah. You're perfectly. I think one of the things that we forget is you're perfectly in your right to ask for something that works for you. And, depending on the season, depending on how you're feeling, people kind of find it funny that people all across India, drink this hot tea in the middle of the blazing hot summer. And it's like, you've got to think behind think of how the tea actually influences your body to know that temperature that you're seeing is actually responding to something else. And what you eat, although you do want to keep in mind what the weather is like, how the food is going to affect you is just as important. So if you're having a cup of hot tea on a hot day, you're actually treating your body differently and trying to get it to come to an equilibrium with what's outside. And you're not shocking your inside. So actually in India, it is completely, people will recommend you drink hot tea or a warm cup of tea in order to balance with the hot weather outside, as opposed to shocking your system with a glass of ice cold something. Because you'll shock your system for 5 minutes, and your body is just going to be fighting it so much more. You're going to sweat more.
Do they put milk in their tea?
Milk, yes, milk actually helps. Milk is cooling. So, dairy itself is, for most dairy is considered cooling, and it helps cool your body from inside, and that's a different mechanism. It's not the hot and cold temperature that we think about in terms of what can be measured on a little temperature probe, but it helps our body kind of adjust and come to an equilibrium. So in winters, you're doing that where you're adding warmer spices. So whatever your tea is, you're actually adding spices that are going to keep your body warm and healthy from inside. Because you don't want it to be susceptible to any bugs from the outside. You want to keep yourself healthy. So you can't overdo it, because if you go too heavy on the warm spices and you've got a very delicate constitution, it might rough up your insides and you might have a stomach ache, or you might feel a little heartburn. So that's where it goes into really tailoring this for what works for you. And that's why I say, you're perfectly in your right to ask for something that works for you. And fine, it's perfectly okay. I think we need to establish that as being okay.
Exactly. And you also, talking about the temperature, it's something I learned too was, in Western civilizations, we're always we're ice junkies. Like everything has to be all this ice. And I learned through that's part of I was, as a kid, I was allergic to cow's milk.
Everything.
And so, everything. I was a pain. I was a true cheetah. Anyway, so, and Nancy actually had goats, and she grew an organic garden and had goats, and I was okay with goat milk. And then when we moved to Kenya, and I lived down in the bush, I was a year and a half when we moved over there, all my allergies went away, and I was able to have cow's milk. But you know what it is, and it's from what I've learned, and now I'm okay to a point, is the milk over there always had spice, and it was always like body temperature almost. It's like it wasn't this cold.
Not cold milk.
Yeah, and if you go to, an American neighborhood or British neighborhood, then it's back to being cold, and then I'm not well. But if I was in an Indian or African neighborhood, here it is. Everything was warm milk, and I was
fine.
A
warm cup of milk, Yeah. Now, it actually, warming it up, and especially if you add spices to it, like my husband has told me this many times when he was sick, as a little kid, he would often get sick, and his mom would make him a milk with pepper and turmeric in it. And at first thought, I knew, pepper is I was like, did you not feel revolted at the idea of having spicy milk? And he was like, no, it actually made me feel better. And when I tried it, it was like, oh yeah, it actually works. It helps break down the dairy and makes it easy for your body to absorb it. The warmth helps. It kind of helps heal it. So what you're doing with any of these preparations is actually help bolster your system from within. And give it that extra helping hand that you can't reach in and, try and fix something and say, oh, poor thing, your stomach is not feeling good. You eat well, and that's the point of putting together the recipes that I did. And not all of them are specific to the idea of tea. They're not all to things. I have included other things in there that are part of the large gamut of healing foods that come in some kind of a pasty liquid form. If it's too spicy for you, is a little paste added to water, and you still are benefiting from that. And that's the piece that we're kind of missing in the idea of healing brews and healing things, is our ability to adapt to it and our ability to take it in. So we have to look for different ways to consume things that help us.
Do you think when you go ahead, Nancy? Sorry. Well, I was going to say, sometimes I think what you eat and drink has a lot to do with your personality, or your dosha. I'm a kapha, and I don't want to be rushed. Don't rush me.
That's because she's a bull, man. She's a Taurus.
I'm a bull. Don't rush me. You'll be sorry. And I think that that you eat according to your doshas kind of naturally most of the time. If you're getting, I'm talking about real food. I'm not talking about mom's food. I'm talking about real food that you tend to navigate to the foods that your body actually wants, I think, on a natural basis.
That's important, because that's we need to be able to pay attention to it. And that's part of why I included a section in the book on mindfulness about actually paying attention to what we are putting in a pot and what all the different pieces of it. And it feels kind of silly when you do it the very first time, like, why should I bother with what kind of cup I take? And why should I bother with what kind of utensil I make my tea in? Or what kind of water comes in there? After all, it's all just going to get boiled over. And you kind of want to step back. And even Ayurveda talks about the importance of the materials that you use in preparing something that is meant to heal you. So using, certain kinds of materials like clay or ceramic or non-reactive materials is definitely far more beneficial than using something else that might react and alter the composition of your brew and send in ions into your preparation that aren't helpful. So when I started doing that, when I started paying attention to those little things, it actually makes a big difference. And it forces you to stop. It forces you to pause, take a look at, all right, well, I have a choice of 6 different mugs. Which one do I choose? And we are then starting to pay attention to that moment more. And we're starting to pay attention to, all right, well, how does the water taste today? It tastes fine. Do I want this water or bottled water? No, bottled water is not going to be great for my tea. It's good for some other stuff, but I want this kind of water. So we actually start paying attention to our ingredients. And as we immerse ourselves in that moment, honestly, even if you were to do it twice, you will feel the difference in how your mind is before you made the tea and after. And just sitting with that cup, you know what went into making it. All the different pieces. And that's where mindfulness really comes in. For some of us who are, rushed, and I think all of us are rushed for time. We're just blazing through every minute, every task, just checking off. And when you take time aside and carve out 5 minutes, 7 minutes, whatever amount of time it takes for you to make a single cup of tea for yourself, that is your time. That time is very, very special to you, because not only are you paying attention, but you're also paying attention to whether those ingredients are going to help you. So when you get that warm cup, you're already calm, even before you had a sip of it. And then you put yourself into that other space where you're thinking about those ingredients and going, oh, okay, I know this is actually going to help me. And I encourage people to take that time. And, you know, as much as everybody loves tea bags, apart from the fact that they're really bad for the environment, they actually do nothing for you. You don't know what's in there. You don't know how.
It's dust off the floor.
It's dust. And most people don't understand that it is the bottom of the pile of tea leaves that is collected and put into there's more effort put into putting that tea bag together than is worth the actual kind of tea in it.
You know what? It's
really
important. It's important what you're saying because of the chemicals used in these tea. Like there's, there's. I don't want to give brand names and get in trouble, but it's not that celestial for you when you do this. I'm just going to say because there's certain teas that I know that they really try hard. But we interviewed a tea farmer, a tea lady. She was doing the herbal teas and all kinds of, and I loved her teas, all organic. She was out of Traverse, Michigan. I really wish I could remember her company name right now, but she did all of these tests of teas. She took them to labs. And had them, in even like top organic ones, and on tea bags and everything. And she said out of them, they all had metal in them, like traces of metal from China in even the organic ones. And so she was saying that was it for her. That she was like, that's it. I'm changing careers and growing tea, making sure it's organic. And she had hers tested because also the soil matters about what you're growing in. But she sourced it from organic tea. I can't remember if she grew it, but in that tea, there was a huge difference. And you could take the ingredients and mix and match what you wanted, like what you have with these recipes for the Sulaimani chai. Sulaimani, am I saying that correctly?
Sulaimani.
That chai recipe, just having like cardamom pods and cinnamon sticks. And it just sounds so good. And you already feel healthy. Your body knows when you make those choices, when you're buying your ingredients. I think if you are making those conscious decisions, and maybe you have, affordability is key too, but you just don't buy as many different things maybe, but your body knows and your body will reward you.
Thanks.
Yeah, and one of the things
are cool. Yeah, sorry. I was going to say tea leaves are cool. My grandmother was British, and she used to read the tea leaves at the end of every cup of tea. It was awesome. It's fun.
Oh, my gosh. I would have loved to be there.
It's so much fun.
That's always fascinating. But, going back to something we were talking about a bit ago, about knowing your ingredients, and there's a deliberate reason why I stick with very, very plain kinds of tea leaves. And I'm trying very hard to get folks to understand that it really is, even if you have 3 or 4 kinds of good, basic loose tea leaves, you will be set for a year. You don't need to buy, little boxes of things, because if you are, like most people have a few things around in their pantry. If you're short on pantry ingredients or pantry space altogether, that's a whole different thing. But, most of us have a few spices lying around for our normal cooking. Those are really helpful for making these teas and making these brews. If you have a little window garden, you have some pots out there, there are ways to actually bring some of that freshness in without having to invest in or purchase these boxed versions that are already made for you. Who knows how old they are in terms of their age. And here you have the ability to actually put something absolutely fresh, if you can get to it, put it or the closest possible, and what you're putting in your cup. Whether it is, a couple of pieces of clove, or a little, pinch of saffron from here, or, if you're growing sage for in your garden, you can put sage. You can make a tea with sage. You can make a tea with lemongrass. There's so much freshness that we have around us. I stumbled into this, and I figured it was important to include it. I found honeysuckle growing, and honeysuckle is a weed, yes, but there's only so much I can control. But honeysuckle flowers are part of, Chinese medicine, and you can make a tea brew out of it. And so I included a honeysuckle tea in because it has those healing abilities. And it is, it is something that we have access to. So we can have access to, or we can have access to some dried spices or dried herbs. So there's a range of customization that's possible.
Yeah,
I want hibiscus tea now. Now I'm craving
that
hibiscus tea. I used
I
to make that.
Hibiscus tea is awesome. Oh, wow.
Oh, my gosh.
It's really nice. It's nice warm, but it's so much fun when it's cold. The hibiscus pomegranate tisane. It is a popular one in our house when I make it. It's fantastic because you have the fresh pomegranate and you have this, you think that it's going to be, when you put the pomegranate into your hot liquid, it actually loses color. So you're thinking, oh my God, this pomegranate tea doesn't look red. And then you pop in the hibiscus and it's, it's back again to the full circle. So it just pops up and becomes, this bright, beautiful, garnet-colored drink that's it's tasty, it's tangy. You can have it cold, you can have it warm. So, I'm really hoping folks actually break down the ingredients. And that's one of the reasons why at the end of every recipe, I have the information about the ingredients you're putting in. So if you are, of a specific constitution, a specific dosha, you can choose to eliminate that ingredient like we do for other recipes. And that would make it better for you. So, this is literally giving you the guidebook for how you can customize a drink for you.
Nice. I dig this. You know what? I'm all excited because it really takes me back to how I used to live in. We're always go, but even just as we travel, there's no reason why we can't have these. It was a way for me to go to sleep at night. Was making a cup of tea. Like I also did ginger tea. Like I used to make ginger tea. Like I lived on that, and it was so healthy. And you didn't, especially if you're feeling like you're going to get a cold or whatever. But fresh ginger became like a staple, and just that feeling of I'm making a cup of tea for myself, calming ingredients for evening time. It set my body into. It was like telling my brain, you will go to sleep and you will stop all the stuff in your head. Go to sleep. You would read and just calm down, play the right music, and it was just this communication, and my body thrived. And you've really, Linda, I want to thank you for bringing Nandita on the show and introducing me to this book because it's totally kind of shaken my core to get back into that lifestyle because it is the most amazing. I want everyone to be Ayurvedic because it just is so good.
Yeah, and I really want to stress the beautiful recipes that are not hard to make, but they're gorgeous. The photos in this book are luscious. That's the best word I can use. They're luscious.
Beautiful.
And everything is easy to make. I mean, there's some things that require you to go to the store and stock up, but like you said, sometimes you forget all the lovely things that you've done in the past, and then you get a reminder. This is like a reminder. Slow down. This book, in some ways, sort of is a partner to the Shelley Wizen book. What do you bring to the table?
Yes,
if you know what I mean. Just to be mindful, to be present when you're doing the cooking and the creating, because cooking is creating, and to be happy that you're doing it for yourself or your family. I want to make sure that everybody understands that this is a book that is really something lovely to give to somebody you know. Mother's Day is coming up. I think this would to buy the book and get one of the lovely hand-painted teapots. They're single. They're a single serve, and they're beautiful. And I have one, and I use it often, and I love it. And it reminds me of to be mindful. You just gotta. Even when we're stuck at home, we're probably still doing too much. So anyway, I really want to encourage everybody to, you can get this in ebook form or you can get this in a hard copy form. It's an indie book. You get it off of I don't know if it's on Amazon, but it certainly is on
it
your
is.
website.
It is on Amazon.
It's
on Amazon. Amazon, it's available through there. I enjoy sending it through. Like people can also purchase it off my website because you have other choices. Like you can add different things to your package, so we're not spending so much on the shipping, and you can combine your purchases together, so it all comes to you in a nice pack. And of course, I'm always sneaky like that with including little treats here and there. So it's never just going to be a book and whatever you.
I want a treat.
Yeah, I know.
Well, I just really think that if it were me, I mean, I did get this gift, but I think it would be lovely to have the hard copy book along with the ceramic teapot, along with a couple of little fun things that you can buy off our website. What a special treat for your sister, your mom, your friend, yourself. I love mine. I think it's absolutely fabulous. And I usually don't push this part about buying this and buying that, but this is really special. This is just I don't know. This is like take care of yourself, and I don't think you're going to really think that that's what you're getting in this book. But this is sort of a heal yourself, love yourself, be mindful book that has a lot of history in it, which is surprising. Cool. I didn't expect that at all. I loved the recipes. I thought the teas that you can make. How exciting to make your own tea. I mean,
so cool.
And I think I need to understand that the teas they don't jump and bite your face. These are all sort of lovely concoctions that are smooth and gentle, and some have a little bit of a kick, but and I like that. But anyway, that's really what I just want to end with. That this is something special, people. If you've read every other tea book and you've done English tea, get out of your cucumbers and come to this. These are lovely, lovely recipes.
Put pepper on your cucumber. Put black pepper on your.
I think I'm going to use that catchphrase now and replace my rethink chai one. But I mean, cucumbers are good and they have their place in everything. But I agree that the idea of tea as just this one kind of, and don't get me wrong, there is such a thing as, there was this tea service with the British tea and all that, and there is some pageantry around it, and all that is great. But if you're really looking to work on yourself and do something good for yourself, and it's not selfish. I learned it the hard way. It is not selfish to look after yourself. And
it's important.
It's very important to remind yourself often, and I have been very lucky that I'd stumbled into this mindset of actually taking the 5 minutes to make that pot or the cup of tea for myself from scratch every time, and it has changed the way I think about my tasks ahead, and it has made me a better person in many ways in terms of how I work, and I'm not always rushing. It's like I need to take a break and focus, and that has improved a lot. So I really appreciate that, that you guys love it so much, and I hope more people discover the book.
Absolutely, I'm sure they will. And in closing, too, I think what would be really cool is we have our Champagne Sunday show. Nancy has a tradition on Sundays. We have champagne, and we look at what was good in the past week, no matter how bad things have been in the world. You look at something positive, and we would say it doesn't have to be champagne. It could be tea. It could be, it's about taking that moment and just keeping positivity. With the tea, with Mother's Day coming up, which is also Nancy's birthday.
Yes, hello there.
Ooh.
I know. So with Mother's Day, what I think would be really cool for all the moms out there, and even if you're a pet mom, you might be a stepmom, all women are mothers in some form, right?
Yeah.
Just being a wife means you're a mom. Oopsie, did I say that? but no, really, there's, I think self-care is really important. So many people right now, especially with COVID, are caretakers and for their elders, and they forget also to take care of themselves. So I say that all the women in the world should get together and get Nandita's book. Again, it's 7 Pots of Tea, and have a tradition where at a certain time moms and daughters, go make yourself a cup of tea. And you all know at that moment, you're all having tea together, even if you're not in the same house or the same place, you're having tea together at that moment. Just like when you look up at the stars, you know that everybody else is seeing them.
Yeah, we can just have a tea party, a virtual tea party.
Actually, I was going to add in here.
Yeah.
I was going to add that I have been offering virtual tea tasting events for folks, and you can do this from your home, and you can have several different people, part of the same group, and you could be anywhere, and we could have a virtual tea party over 7 cups of tea. So I look forward to hearing from folks. Yeah, and that's the point. Is like we are so not able to find our friends and loved ones, and how about we take time to spend it with them over something that's good for each one of us?
Oh, I love that.
Peaceful.
Talk about when you think about there's that movie, the Guernsey movie about the potato peel pie. I don't know if any of you've seen it. It's an amazing. It's about a book club. Oh, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful, beautiful movie, and it shows Guernsey. And we keep talking. We used to live in Guernsey for a year, a month and a half or something. Before we moved to the States. I don't know. But the island it's a tiny island, and we're just way too, loud. The raging pitta on a small island does not work. But anyway, it's a true story. It's based on a true story and about this book club, and they weren't allowed to gather. But, we have book clubs, but this does reshape what a book club could be with what you're doing with the virtual tea tastings. Like that is that's amazing that people can do that and learn because all the different ingredients, I think also we've gotten we may forget all these amazing herbs and spices that we do have at our fingertips. Like you were talking about flowers. Like I used to, go in the garden and eat nasturtiums and, and then the little sweet things like a little caper. Yeah. And just
like, what are you doing? And then I'm like, what bug is eating my flowers? And it turned out to be Lisa.
Yeah, when I tell my child that when I was little I would go and eat random flowers out of my grandmother's garden or just snack on them, and she just rolls her eyes like you are crazy, and I was like, no, Grandma used to tell me this is fine. And I now reflect on things that I wish I had learned from her because some of these things are passed down with our families, and I think this is even opening the door of actually talking about this with our loved ones and sitting together actually allows us to talk about these things with our family members. Once even the event is done, once the book is done, once, if you've opened the book and read a recipe or you've had your tea, you go back to that. And it encourages folks to talk to their elders, their family members, and actually share things that we already, they're already there. We just don't access it. And, there are times when I wish, like, I had asked my grandmother why she would go to the garden to pick something when I didn't know what it was. And it took years afterwards when I was like, oh, my God. When I did my master's in botany, I was, I was a plant person. And for our pharmacognosy classes, and that was one of my majors, and, our professors would teach us stuff about, you go to the garden, this is this plant. And I'm like, I've seen this in my grandmother's yard. Like, I thought it was a weed. And she knew it intuitively. So there's, outside of the formal education that, not everybody has the time in their life to do that or follow that. But the little things that we can learn from our peers, our elders, our loved ones, our family around us, this hopefully opens up the door for doing more of that.
I love that. I think I love the different ingredients, and I love that you're have the background in botany. I would love to be a botanist because I started getting into I used to make jewelry, and I got into the history of beads, and I never did jewelry again because I was writing stories and colors according to this bead and that, and I got into the history of beads, and it's insane. I mean, that was one of our first currencies, it was beads. But then I was doing something, and I got into, a friend of mine was starting an herb garden where she was trying to save medicinal herbs, and I geeked out one day, and then next thing you know, I'm like, well, now I want to write the history of plants because what we've done. Well, what we have done in this country, it's like, okay, we only have one kind of chicken or one kind of turkey. We've dumbed down the variety and the heritage plants and the heritage animals, and we've really lost our ancient grains. We've lost our ancient fruits and vegetables and herbs and even plants. We've dumbed them down to, like, here's your gardenia. But gardenias, when they were wild, used to have all these different varieties. Now I'm tripping out again because it just, I geek out on this stuff like you wouldn't believe.
I can see what afternoon's going to be like.
I know. I'm going to have tea and talk plants. I get into it because it's so fascinating to me, like the amount of this abundance of what used to be. And if we aren't aware of it, we just don't know. And that's what I love about your book, is bringing some of those things back to the forefront. And maybe more people will have cardamom in their cupboards and use it instead of, salt and pepper. There's so much more. And saffron.
There are so much more. Yeah, absolutely. And, it's like we think that there's only so much, and then we start finding these things, and, even your seasoning for soup has more ingredients than most of us want to carry, in our pantry. If you're like, oh, I don't want too many things, and then you have a prepared package of seasoning, as opposed to if you were to just assemble those pieces together. And it's all about learning how the combinations come together, how the flavors come together. And although it seems complicated at first, and I know a lot of people just kind of get really anxious when it comes to the idea of putting their own spices together, but for most part, spices aren't going to hurt you the way you think. So it's okay to make those slight changes and say, oh, you know what, I didn't like this so much, and next time I'm going to skip something else. And allowing yourself the confidence that it's okay to try something, and it's okay to not like it. And that's something that we have lost in the interest of convenience, is, that ability to have confidence in ourselves and what we can bring to our own food. And whether it's food or drink or, anything of our life, of what we do, is having that confidence that I have the ability to do this, so why not try it? And I want more people to be able to, feel that confidence.
Exactly. Well, thank you so much. I want to tell everybody that Linda Kissam will be back. Diva Linda will be back on Big Blend Radio on April 11th. We have a special radio show. It's our spring garden party, and we've got bells.
I know. I'm like, oh, cool.
Whose bells are those? Who's
got the bells?
Who's got the bells?
That's my clock here. It chimes on the hour. So.
Oh, well, nice. It sounds like the music we're going to play. It sounds a little bit like the music we're going to play. It's like I was going, oh my gosh, the music's playing without me pushing a button. This is so cool. Anyway,
it's one of those subtle reminders that
it's a beautiful tone
that kind of breaks the monotony of a work day.
I like it.
It's time to have a cup of tea.
I know. It's tea time on that note. But Diva Linda will be back Sunday, April 11th. We have a special show all about plants and gardens, and we're very excited about it. We love our garden gossip shows, and we do gossip. And we always ask the question, if you could take over someone's house for a weekend, whose house do you want to take over? Or their garden, where do you want to live? So think about that as a good tea time topic. So anyway, thank you so much, Nandita. Everyone, again, the book, go to her website. Go to currycravingskitchen.com. And again, the book is 7 Pots of Tea, an Ayurvedic Approach to Sips Nosh by Nandita Godbole. And also keep up with Diva Linda at allingoodtaste.info. Her article is up on blendradioandtv.com. You just type in 7 Pots of Tea, you'll find it, and it'll also be featured. And it's got a cool recipe. It'll also be featured in the spring-summer issue of Big Blend Radio and TV magazine. The best thing to do is to sign up for our newsletter. You can just go to bigblendradio.com, sign up for our newsletter. We send emails out every time we have a new magazine. It'll either be Big Blend Radio and TV magazine or Parks and Travel magazine or one of our specialty publications that we're working on. The next one is all about bed and breakfast, and I think they all need your teapots.
Cool. I think that would be perfect.
I know.
Absolutely.
I'm just
find me, and I will get the teapots over.
She's shipping those pots out, man. I'm telling you, everyone needs 7, not just 1 either. You need 7. So that's it. One for each day. All right, we're going to close with this beautiful song. It's called Lotus Blossom. It's by Michael and Spider. You can get their music on Amazon and Bandcamp. But here it is, Lotus Blossom. Thank you so much, ladies. See you at 11, Steve and Linda.
Bye.
Thank you.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.